On December 7, 1963, a nation grieving President Kennedy gathered for the Army-Navy game. At the time, television was a one-way window. Once a play happened, it vanished. But inside a CBS production truck, Tony Verna was preparing a revolution. By repurposing a massive videotape machine, Verna aired the first instant replay. This revolution turned television into a tool for forensic analysis. The immediate reaction was chaos. Confused viewers called the network, certain they were seeing a glitch, forcing the announcer to shout, "Army has not scored again." The success of Verna's technology ignited a networked arms race to meet a new consumer expectation, the right to see the truth twice. This competition reformed the language of the screen, creating a new standard that eventually altered how sports were coached, played, and legally officiated. Verna's impact expanded far beyond the stadium, giving us the power to look back. He ensured that in the world of fleeting moments, the truth would never be lost again. To truly grasp how revolutionary Verna's idea was, you have to first understand the world that came before it. In the early 1960s, sports broadcasting was still in its infancy. Television was a fragile medium. Cameras were bulky, stationary giants. Lenses were limited, and footage they captured often looked like a frantic, grainy blur of motion. In this era, the viewer was a prisoner of the present. If you blinked at the wrong time, if you turned your head for a single second, you might miss the game's biggest play, and it would be gone forever. There was no going back. There was only the live, fleeting moment. Tony Verna, an ambitious young director at CBS, wasn't satisfied with that limitation. He watched from the production truck, frustrated by how easily the human eye could miss the sheer magic of an athlete's movement. He began to wonder, what if viewers could see it again?
Viewers could see what happened on a play, but they couldn't see why it happened.
So I'd say to cameramen like Joe Sidlow, I'd say, "Joe, what happened to that receiver?" He says, "Oh, he tripped at the line. He was checked or something." And I said, "Wouldn't it be great if I could see what happened?" But it didn't matter later. It had to be instant, right after the play.
But in 1963, technology was a massive wall in his way. Videotape was a brand new, temperamental frontier. At the time, editing wasn't just a digital click. It meant literally cutting magnetic tape with a razor blade and splicing it back together. The very concept of replaying something live was considered a technical impossibility. The MPEX videotape machines Verna had to work with were massive, weighing over 1,000 pounds, and they were built for long-form recording, definitely not for the split-second time required to find a single play. Still, Verna experimented in the shadows. He spent weeks tinkering with the equipment in secret, trying to find a way to record and instantly cue the tape to a specific marked moment. His colleagues at CBS thought he was chasing a dangerous dream. The stakes were massive. If the machine glitched or the tape jammed, it could ruin the entire national broadcast and black out screens across America.
It came with a tape that had "I Love Lucy" on it, and so if the tape didn't record properly, you would get Lucy on the air. I mean, you had to be careful.
But Verna was driven by a singular conviction. He believed television wasn't just about showing the game. It was about explaining it. And as December approached, he was preparing a revolution that no one saw coming.
Of Army, as they're warming up here for today's game, which has been delayed by 1 week. Delayed, of course, for the reason that President Kennedy was slain a little more than a week ago. And of course, today is a very solemn occasion, as well as being a very fine day for the Army-Navy game.
The stage was set. The 1963 Army-Navy game, a rivalry steeped in military tradition and one of the most watched television events of the year, was Verna's one and only chance to test his theory. But for the first half of the game, the experiment was a technical disaster. Inside the crammed, sweltering production truck, the massive Ampex machine jammed repeatedly. The magnetic tape, sensitive and temperamental, seemed to fight against the commands of the technicians. The timing was off, the cues were missed, and it appeared Verna's revolutionary dream would crash and burn on national television before it ever aired a single frame. Then came the fourth quarter. With the game on the line and the tension in the stadium at a breaking point, Army quarterback Rollie Stitchway took the snap and surged into the end zone for a touchdown. Verna, fueled by pure adrenaline, saw his window. And suddenly, across America, the impossible happened.
Stitchway, touchdown! Neither Dick Hayton or Tony Pierce is coming to the ballgame, so let's see if Army's going to try a two-point conversion. The score now is 21-13. Neither Hayton or Pierce is coming to the ballgame, which would be an indication that Army's going to go for two.
Viewers at home leapt from their chairs in total disbelief, convinced they had just witnessed Army score two identical back-to-back touchdowns in a matter of seconds. In the stadium booth, announcer Lindsey Nelson realized the audience was panicking. He had to shout over the noise to set the historical record straight.
It was broadcaster Lindsey Nelson's duty to sound the warning sirens.
And I say, this is it, Lindsey, go. And Lindsey looks at the monitor and says, ladies and gentlemen, Army has not scored again. Now, if you said that today, they'd throw a net on you and take you out of the booth and put you in a booby hatch.
The immediate reaction to Verna's success was a total reconstructing of the television industry. Almost overnight, the one-way window was shattered. CBS's rivals, ABC and NBC, were caught completely off guard. They began a frantic, high-stakes scramble to build their own Verna-style machines, realizing that if they couldn't show the past, they would lose the future. Just weeks later, at the 1964 Cotton Bowl, the technology evolved again. This was where the isolated camera truly came its own, allowing broadcasters to lock onto a single player and study their movement. The reaction was immediate. Fans no longer just watched the ball, they watched the struggle in the trenches. The audience's expectation had been permanently reformed. They now demand to see the truth twice, forcing networks to invest millions into specialized replay trucks and technicians, turning a one-man experiment into a standard industry requirement. In the long run, the significance of Verna's invention expanded far beyond the stadium. The most profound reform was a shift in authority of the image. The camera became a forensic witness. This led to the unintended consequence of undermining the officials on the field. If the fans at home could see a mistake in slow motion, the referee's word was no longer law. This tension eventually forced the NFL and other global leagues to legally reform their rulebooks, leading to the modern era of VAR and replay review. But what of the inventor himself? In a surprising twist of history, Tony Verna never became a millionaire from his creation. Because he was an employee of CBS, he never patented the original 1963 technology. He didn't sell the instant replay, he gave it to the world. While the networks made billions off the analytical era he created, Verna remained a director, driven by the craft rather than the profit. His unintended legacy was the creation of a second look culture, a world where we no longer accept what we see the first time. Tony Verna's invention during the 1963 Army-Navy game was far more than a technical trick. It was a revolution that shattered the one-way window of television by giving the world the ability to look back. He fundamentally changed our relationship with time and truth. What began as a glitchy experiment inside a sweltering production truck ignited a global reform of broadcast standards, sports officiating, and consumer expectations. This topic remains vital in history because it marked the moment when the camera shifted from a passive observer to a forensic witness, challenging the authority of the human eye. Verna proved that in the modern age, sports and life isn't just what happens, it's what we can prove happened by pressing rewind.